In 2021, people look at networking as something that we're looking to scale. The number of connections that you have on your LinkedIn, the number of cards that you get when you go to a networking event. And all of these things, I think, are symptoms of the issue that people are not valuing strong relationships. What's going on, you guys? My name is Ian Richardson, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the importance of building strong relationships and why I believe that networking is such a bad word and has such a bad connotation in 2021. What a crazy time it is in the world. Bitcoin's at $50,000. Texas is going through probably one of the most intense winter storms they've ever seen.
Millions without electricity in Texas.
And I mean, I still have my Christmas tree up and it's like mid-February, so I'm just never gonna take this down because it still smells good. So anyways, the reason I bring up current events is I was speaking to some of my colleagues that are actually based out of Texas and kind of walking through what's going on down there. And they have literally like frozen pipes that they don't know how to deal with. That's not normal for them. They don't have electricity. They have like in their actual houses, it's like 42 degrees. They don't have internet, right? And everybody's working from home. And you ask yourself in those moments, like, how do you survive? Like, if you were left to your own devices, like how would you get through that period of time? And in every conversation I've had, it's thank God for my friends. Thank God for these people that are allowing me to come over to their houses and spend my time there and be able to work and shower and stay warm. And you start to realize how important it is to have strong relationships and how other people really will be the people that are able to help you in both successful times and difficult times. And in the same way, how the reciprocal of that's important, how you helping other people is so important because of how we all survive. This started to make me think about how I got to where I am in my own career. Now, when I initially started when I was 19 years old, I had an internship opportunity that presented itself to me. I obviously applied for it, but it was something that I was not qualified for. It was not something that I should have gotten the job for. I didn't have any experience on my resume, and yet someone was able to open that door for me. And when I look back at that and I trace all of the success I've had in the rest of my career, it all started with that. That door that they unlocked for me ended up allowing me to have access to a group of people that were far along in their career and were huge mentors to me and ended up helping unlock doors down the road. And when I look back at it, the reason that I was able to take that one opportunity that was presented to me through other people and turn it into other opportunities that were also presented to me through other people is that along the whole way, I wasn't thinking about it as what can this person do for me? I was thinking about it as how can I help completely overachieve the team's goals? How can I be such a resource from the skills that I do have, which were around coding and just my work ethic and passion and literally up until today, like the role that I am in today was something that somebody else reached out to me about. I wasn't even aware of it at the time, but they had me in mind because of the relationship we built in the past, the success we had together, working, on the same team as peers. Those types of things are not things you can manufacture or can get going to 100 different networking events. It's something that takes time and building the right relationships, building a level of trust, building empathy, and actually caring about other people. So first and foremost, the human animal is a social animal, and our very survival depends on our ability to form communities and to form cultures. And this dates back to the very beginning of humans. We would not have made it this far by ourselves. And so it's important to realize that we are not good alone. We are only good surrounded by other people that share our beliefs. What's interesting too is when humans share the same beliefs, trust emerges.
You can't tell people, trust me. Trust cannot be formed overnight, just as you can't go on one date and decide if you want to marry someone.
Simon Sinek talks about this a bunch when he gives speeches. He talks about how, just the connections that you can build off of what people believe. Like, for example, fans of a sports team, right? If you're a fan of the Red Sox and you see someone else wearing a Red Sox hat, you can scream across the room go Red Sox, right? And you've got a connection with someone. There's a level of trust there.
Let's go Red Sox!
And if that same person's like, hey, can you give me directions somewhere? Or if they were to ask you, it's because of that trust that exists. And when trust emerges, we're more inclined to take risks, to experiment, to explore. And the reason I want to talk about this is back when I was in college, I always looked at networking as such a bad word. It had terrible connotations to it. It was always a disingenuous proposition. You're going to go into this room of people that is artificially constructed in order to figure out who can help you potentially down the road and make sure that you're able to further your career in order to, reap the benefits of that. And it always felt like a tit for tat type scenario and a numbers game. Build as many, connections on social media platforms as you can. And what's funny is that turned me off so much to it, but it was really the strong connections that I've had over the years that have helped me get to where I am. And frankly, building relationships is not something you can scale. Having someone in mind and reaching out to them and realizing that two people that have very similar interests and making that connection, it requires effort. It requires you putting in time and actually investing yourself into that relationship. And I think to some extent, the most important thing that you can do as you're getting started in your career is try to add value to other people. When you're reaching out to people that are successful and have a lot of things going on, there's one common theme across them. They do not have time.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So how can you help them and add value to their lives is going to be a refreshing thing versus basically the opposite of asking for something, trying to get something from them. It's so important to understand that authenticity and empathy are not something that can be faked. If you don't care about people, they're gonna get that. And having authenticity, actually representing what you believe, that is something that you can only fake for so long, right? So I'll give you a really stupid example, but when I lived up in Montreal, a lot of people really followed hockey, and it was obviously the nation's huge sport. Now I'm a bad skater. Like if anybody's been watching these videos, I shared how I fell and hit my head and got a concussion like a few weeks back. So I'm a very bad skater and don't really follow hockey that much. But I remember being in a social setting with a few friends, meeting a bunch of other people that were native Canadians, and the Habs, which is the Canadian hockey team, had played the night before. They had won. I had remembered PK Subban, which was one of the star players at the time up in Canada. And I remember him scoring like a few goals, and I was like, hey, how about those PK and Subban goals last night? And everybody erupted, and they were excited about it because there was a level of connection there. There was a shared belief that, we all love hockey.
Here's Subban, long drive, it scores! PK Subban from center ice.
Now they're coming back to me with all these other different like hockey stories and facts and things. And that was about the peak of everything I knew about it. And so it was awkward because, the authenticity of me being engaged with hockey was it didn't exist. And so I wasn't able to build off that as a relationship and connection and so forth. So it's funny just to think about when you're having conversations with people, understand really where there are overlaps in your beliefs and your values and things that you enjoy. Because at the end of the day, those are things that you can't fake, right? If you enjoy something, it's going to come through naturally. There's going to be an authenticity to that. The quote, fake it till you make it with this just doesn't work. Now, one thing that's super, super important to realize is that you're going to build relationships as a product of your environment and the environments that you put yourselves in. Now, obviously, this is going to be constrained on things that might be out of your control, like to some extent the environment of where you go to school and the people that you surround yourselves with there is, obviously an input based off of what schools did you get into and what can you afford and is there financial aid and things of that nature, right? So, but that is absolutely an example of a place where, you're surrounded by people that have potentially, very similar interests, similar goals, and trust will emerge there, and you'll be able to build really strong relationships with those people if you put that time in, if you're looking to add value to those other people's lives and build a very mutually beneficial relationship where everybody wins from it. Now, in addition to that, where you live and the people that maybe if you live in a city and people in that community, maybe there's opportunities to meet people that way as well. Or in addition to that, where you work, having a shared mission and values across a company and working for a company that is doing something that you believe in And those people that work there obviously will often believe that same thing. If you build friendships with people that are high performing and are funny and, have a great time, they're going to attract other people that are similar to that. And in a weird way, like, it's funny too when you have those like small world type situations where you meet someone and then you realize that they knew somebody else that you've met like years ago. It's the idea that the friends of your friends and the friends of your friends' friends are typically going to be quality people if you're surrounding yourself with quality people. So all these things kind of like compound on themselves. And so the starting thing is try to surround yourselves with people that are quality people. And sometimes it's easier said than done. Like I said, sometimes that's a product of, opportunities that you were given prior to that, like where you went to school and where you live and so forth. But oftentimes, because of the internet, because of other things, you can interact with people across the globe. Another thing that's, I think, important is when you're just meeting people for the first time, you can only control yourself. So if you go in with the expectation that they're going to go open some door for you, well, forget about that.
Forget about it. Forget about it.
Maybe they'll do that in the future, but that's not something that you have any control over. Control what you can do for them. Control what value you can bring to them. And I think there's a balance to this. I think there's some people out there that are so giving that honestly they forgo things that are important in their own lives. And so there's a balance, right? I think, understand where you kind of stand on that spectrum. If you are, bending over backwards for other people, where it's like thwarting your ability to take care of yourself and be healthy. And so you need to make sure you're fending for yourself, but also don't be so self-absorbed, right? It's a spectrum. There's a balance to it. A big part of this is introspection and really understanding where you fit on that and where maybe you can shift, one way or the other, depending on what you do. But I think more so than not, I think the general trend is that people care more about themselves than what someone else is thinking. One other note I want to just mention is treat other people how they want to be treated. Now, I think the saying is treat other people how you want to be treated. The reason I want to flip that and why I think people say how they want to be treated is there's this idea of the love languages. Now, I know we're talking about career development and growth, but people will receive messages differently depending on how you send it. So some people will react to like a written note, and because that they're more of an analog person and people get emails all the time now, but they don't get like a handwritten note, that will go a long way for them. People that love music, right, and love going to concerts, getting them a concert ticket, that will resonate with them. People that love wine, good wine, getting them a great bottle, that will resonate with them. But you need to interact with people in the way that it will mean something to them, not in the way that maybe it means something to you. Like if you like great wine, but your friend hates it and doesn't drink, not a great gift, right? So think about that too, is interact with people the way that, meet them at their level, if you will. That goes an incredibly long way. Now, last but not least is this idea of sending the elevator back down. Now, this is something that I heard, I think when I was in university. I don't know, I'm trying to think of who this quote's from. Oh, well, that's good. It's from Kevin Spacey. So more important than who said it is the quote itself. And I heard this back when I was in university, is the idea that when you have success in your own life, send the elevator back down. And what that means is look for opportunities where you can help people that maybe might be in a less fortunate position, where you can provide value for them. And I think the more people can do this in their communities, the better off I think the world's going to be. And I think the more productive people will be, and the more people will grow and be able to have larger influence on society. So with that, I got to get to work. Got a call coming up in a couple minutes here, my first call of the day, but hope everybody's having a great week. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate everybody that's watching these videos. Most of you I know that are my friends right now, so thank you for getting all the way to the end of these. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, which I just started last year, so I don't have many followers, but I'll put out more content over time. And with that, hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.